Hi guys, welcome. Hi everyone. Hello lovely Kenny, Reba, Heather, welcome guys, come in. Abby, Rosemary. Hi Linda, welcome. Hi Loretta, welcome. Hello. So what a big huge weekend we had. I did a couple of things on the weekend, of course. Some of you were here. I still haven't got any further on these. There's a story to that. But these were the images that I was doing for the steampunk freakout. Hashtag steampunk freakout. So I didn't get any more coloured because I had something happen with my camera. So yesterday, to take out my frustrations, I did an image from Jane Davenport's Whimsical Girls journal that I've deconstructed and put into my book here. So I had a little bit of fun with that and entered a Jane Davenport competition thing for a scholarship to do her Whimsical Wild course. So that would be cool. But that's what I did on the weekend. Now, the reason that I didn't get any more of my images done is because this wonderful contraption that has allowed me to stream for so long died. Something weird happened to it. It was so strange. Hi Nana, welcome. Hi Lisa, hi Kelly, welcome guys. My beautiful camera, something really strange happened. After we finished our live stream on Saturday doing the Crest and Caran image, I turned my computer off and went off and did a few things and then got ready for bed, and I came back and I noticed, because the room was dark, my camera light was on. There's actually a light that comes around here when the camera's on, and I was like, what? I've turned my computer off. Why is that on? And I kind of got a bit freaked out then, because we were just talking about how my computer kind of glitches and turns on in the middle of the night for no reason. So, oh, thank you. Thanks, Rosemary. So I was kind of freaking out then. I was like, is someone using my camera? Are they watching me? You know, like randomness. Anyway, I turned my computer back on and the camera freaked out, and the computer just kept saying that there was no USB device and that it was not working. So I just unplugged it, turned my computer off, and kind of went to bed thinking, that's just freaky, I'll just unplug it. But I tried to plug it in yesterday and it's died. It's completely dead. It just won't connect to anything. So I was so upset. So upset. My poor camera. So, yeah. Computers, hey? Yes, sucky, alright. Hi, Linda. Welcome. Holly, hi. Come in, guys. Welcome. Joey, hi. Yes, RIP camera, but I had to get it organized to get the new one done, and the settings are not quite right yet, but they will become right. But look, you know what? I use this camera every single day, and quite often it can be up to 4 hours a day or more. Recording videos for Patreon, for YouTube, doing live videos. So it has done well, I think, for the amount of use that I use it for. But yeah, still sad. Still very sad. And it costs so much money. Anyway. So, it's kind of a little bit of a gag here. I just want to make a disclaimer. First off, this video is not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored. But I have been working with these guys from Crafties, David from Crafties, for 2 years now. I do get something from the affiliate links that are in the description. I do get a percentage of sales. So Craft Ease, all of the links are in the description, but I will post some links in the chat box, some affiliate links there as well. So David and I have been working together for 2 years since I did the What They Don't Tell You Paint by Numbers video, which was this one. And as you can see, 285,000 views. How awesome is that? This video just took off, and I'm not sure why. It was just one of those videos that everybody, it must just be the title, or I don't know, but I've had a few people try to copy it and repost it as their own. I have had people use parts of it for their ads. This has been a huge video and a lot of work for me, so but it has had great rewards. So since doing that 2 years ago, a lot has changed for him. I gave him some suggestions of things that he could do differently to make it better for the customer, and he's put heaps of those into consideration and done so many things with his products. He's got new suppliers, he's organized different kinds of sets, he's also now including artists' images, so he's not just doing stock images anymore. He now has artists on board that get paid for their work when they sell paint by numbers that's there, so that's really exciting, and it's really good for us because it means that artists will work more if they're getting paid, so it's really good. So in that preparation, I said to him that I really liked this image. I'm just going to pop it up on the screen here somewhere. I think it's this one. And awesome, Linda. Hi, Robin. Hi, my Kindle Fire died yesterday. Oh no. Oh no. That was lucky though. Mine, I'm not sure. I'm going to have to go and search out my receipt for it because I think this one might be over a year. I did get a new one about 6 months ago, which I haven't really used, which is the one I'm using now. So, but I do eventually want to do 2 camera angles, so I am going to need another camera again, but at this stage this one we'll just have to do. Okay, so I told him I liked this picture, and he said that they weren't sure how many colours to do it in, and he wanted to try a larger amount of colours. I think it's 36 colours. And of course when we got it we went, no, that's too extreme. And needless to say, he won't be selling a 36 colour paint by numbers. Check it out. That is extreme. It's extreme. So so just a bit of a disclaimer there. That's not what the paint by numbers normally look like, okay? This is a bit of a test. So it's a bit of a test. This is actually the framed, this is the deluxe kit Pro. So it came with a canvas that's already been framed. It came with the paint, and it also came with the deluxe paint brush set as well. So just so you can see what a deluxe kit is, that's what you get with it. You can just get the normal kit, which just comes with, look at that cat hair, Shadow's been cuddling it. Comes with a rolled up paint by numbers. This is generally what paint by numbers looks like, you know, it's got a few marks and I was doing a little bit of blending here, but normally it comes like that, and it usually comes with some little paint brushes and all of the paint. So that's sort of a general kit, and that's usually what they look like. I actually did finish one. I'm doing another video for crafties at the moment, a bit of a speed paint, and just going into a little bit more detail about different artists and things like that. And I did do, excuse me, I'll just put this away. Noisy. And I did do this one. Can you see him? He's a bit of a skull. So I've done this one for the video that I will be bringing out. I'm going to do a What They Don't Tell You Part 2 and answer all of the questions. There are hundreds of comments on that video. So I'm going to do a Part 2, and I'm going to answer all of those questions and do a speed pump paint and just explain a little bit about blending. I think that was one of the most asked questions, and things like that. So there will be a video coming for that. You love the crinkling sound. So this little guy here on the right, the skull, he took me 24 hours of painting. So over, I don't know, a month or two, it took me a total of 24 hours. So if you were to do it over a couple of days, you would be painting full on non-stop. I really enjoyed doing it. I love how it came out. It's kind of like one that you've got to stand back from to see the skull in it. But yeah, there's a skull in like a whole heap of bushes and things like that. But it looks so cool. So yeah. So this is what comes with the deluxe kit. I've posted up the one that I've actually purchased here. Just then in the chat, but if you just want to go check out the Crafties website, they've actually got a special autumn special on at the moment. They're selling buy two get one free. Now I'm not sure if that includes the artist original ones. So these two here are artist originals. So that means that an artist has allowed Crafties to make it into a paint by numbers, and they actually get a percentage of sales from each one that is sold. So gives back to the artist, and it's not just a stock image that anyone sort of got on every website that you can go to for paint by numbers. So they are kind of a little bit exclusive, which is awesome. They've got loads and loads of images on there. Heaps of fun. But yeah, this is the Pro Kit. I think that's what it's called. Hang on, let me just double check that that's what it is called. Oh, wrong one. Wrong link. What am I doing? Okay. So there's 3 different kits you can get. You get the full kit, which is the rolled up one, canvas with the paint, normal paintbrushes and the paints. You can get the full kit plus a frame, which is everything in this set here. But you get the canvas framed like this one. And then there's the full kit frame Pro, which includes, instead of the little crappy paintbrushes that you get in the other one, you get this big pack of extra brushes. In this tiny little picture. He's looking into getting the digital version like up here sent with each of the confirmation emails and things like that for them, so that we can have a large copy, because it's tiny. Some of the ones that I actually got came with the blank canvas printed out on an A4 piece of paper too, so you could see the numbers. So he's looking into kind of streamlining everything so everybody gets the same thing, but it's going to take time and, you know, organizing. So cheeky little photo. You have the blue brushes. Awesome. Okay, so even though these brushes are pretty awesome, I actually purchased some. Sorry, my computer's just telling me things that I don't really want to know right now. Ah, goodness me. Oh, it's possessed, I swear. Alright, I've got 2. What? Oh, I've lost my links. They're in the description below anyway. I brought 2 lots of brushes. These are nail art brushes. The links are in the description. I've lost them. This set came with like heaps of different sizes, but the reason I got them, well, that one's all stuck together, is because they came with these tiny little detailing brushes. Like this is a 3-0 and it's tiny, especially for this one. Gosh, this one's a 5-0. Look how tiny that is. And these were quite cheap. I think they were like $15 or something. These ones were 8. They're not quite as tiny, but they're called nail art brushes or detailing brushes. And they're awesome for stuff like this, especially the tiny, tiny little stuff. I use this one with my gouache all the time for doing details on, images. It's one of my favorites. So, okay, so let's talk about the paint. All right, we'll get there. Everybody asks me this because they get them and they go, the paints are horrible. First big thing is they're water-based paints. On all of the websites, they state they're oil or they're, you know, they're real acrylics that need, you know, I guess, solvent. But they don't. They need water. So what I actually do is every time... these ones all came already separate, which was kind of cool, but every time I open a new Paint by Numbers pot, I have these little pipette things here. It's like a little pipette, and I just grab some fresh water and I put, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 drops in there, and I stir it around. Otherwise you'll run out of paint. I mean, look at the size of this image. Excuse me, trying to get some toothpicks out there. The size of this image is huge, and it's going to take a bit of paint. So if I don't mix it with a little bit of water, just to thin it down a little bit, it takes a little bit to mix it through. But once it's done, you don't have to do it again. It just stops them from drying as quick, and it just gives you that little bit more paint to work with. And that's it. That's what I do. Now, I have tried a couple of other things because water can dilute colour. So for those that are worried about that, I'm not. It comes out fine for me. Let me just get my little piece of paper towel here. Get rid of some paint. Alright. For those that are worried, you can use something like this. This is a cheap brand. This is called Flow Medium. It's an acrylic thinning agent. So what you can do is put, say, 6 drops of this in, stir it around, and have the same effect as you would with water. But look, I find water works fine. The paints are really thick. Doing a small image like this, you're not going to need to do more than 1 coat because the tiny little spots aren't going to take much to fill up. But with the larger one up here, I did have to do a few coats of, say, the top section here where the purple is, that, or the maroon colour, that I had to do a couple of layers of, just to make sure I had the cover. A great way to make sure you keep track of what colours you use is to take a photo of the canvas before, so you can see what numbers are there if you've forgotten what number it is as well. So I just did it, painted over it, and then did it again before I moved on. But for those that don't want to, I know, it's full on. As I said, this is not what they normally look like. Normally they're like the other one I opened up. So this one was just a test, and obviously it's too small. I mean, what even is this colour? I can't even see the number on that. I'm going to need like a magnifying glass. Let me look. Oh, I don't know. It could be number 35. Yeah, I think it's the blue. It's the little in there in this image here. Let me unlock it. Not that one. In this image here, see the line across the, there's like light blue line. So yeah, I think it's number 35. But oh my god, you know, how would I have known that if I didn't have the picture? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And the reason that he wanted to test it was because the normal 24 color or whatever it is, it just didn't look right, because there is so much detail in this particular image that you need to have more to be able to get the definition and to get the shapes of the trees and things like that. So that's why they decided to test the larger sized one. So most of them come with 24 colours on average. So let me just look, what's this one? The dragon one that I'm doing here. Yeah, I think that's 24 colours. This is a dragon. This is a couple of dragons over a sunset. It's a really pretty image, actually. My daughter actually did it. I ended up with 2 of these for some reason. But my daughter did one, and it came up really awesome. I should have taken a photo of it, actually. Twinkle, twinkle again. Anyhow, this is full on, eh? Alright, let me just take this other one down now. Not that one, that one. I brought about 5 kits when you did the first video, but only ever finished one because I found it too hard. They all have, you can't order a specific size anymore either. They're all basically, each picture has its own size. So some might be this size, some might be smaller. It depends on what kind of image it was. I find it quite relaxing too. I mean, it took me ages to finish the skull one. And the original Paint by Numbers one that I did also took me quite a while, but that one wasn't quite as detailed as this one. I think I have another one somewhere. From a different Paint by Numbers company, and I didn't like the canvases. The canvases were just like, I'll actually show you. I won't mention who it was. But these canvases come all fully prepared. They're all painted and smooth, ready to go. This one was quite expensive too. It comes on like this weird linen type canvas, and they haven't prepared it properly. It's still really, you can see the canvas through it. Like this is bright white. This is like an off-white, and the paint that they've put on the top isn't very good quality. Like it hasn't covered and protected the canvas well enough. So I found it really hard to paint on. I found the paint dried too quickly. It didn't dry evenly because this is not even. And that actually cost me quite a bit to buy that one. So there's loads of different types, but I found that, I don't know, I like the Crafties ones because of the way that they prepare the canvases. Even the rolled up one is prepared the same way, it's just not on a frame, so heaps better. Oh yeah, no, it's like that sometimes. Gotten lost so bad in my picture today. Hi Lulu, welcome. I get lost in all sorts of things. That's right. So Raber just said the more extreme it looks, the more detailed the image will look. So it should come out similar to the original image. It may not. Excuse me. May not. It's too scary. I don't bet. Looking through your fingers. It is pretty crazy. But should we give it a go? Should we do some and see what it's like? I think we should. Let's open these new brushes up. I don't think I'm going to get to use many of these brushes though because the areas are so tiny. What's in here? What have we got? Got a filbert. I've got a couple of filberts actually. And they've got some flat brushes. We've got an angular. And what else have we got? We've got a couple of round brushes. Detail brushes. I think they're like round and liner brushes, so, or detail brushes. There's a range of different sizes. That doesn't seem like a 3 to me though. 30. Just wet it to have a look, because that one's a 30. Maybe the end of it might be the tip, just the tip bit. But I tend to start, I think it says to start with darker colours first on their website, but I actually find that I find it better to start with the lighter colours and then go in with the darker colours, because when you put a light colour over the dark, you can actually see it, whereas when you go back in with the darker colour over a light colour, it kind of blends off the very edge of the lighter colour. But obviously it's up to individual preference. I used to do all one colour and go all over the picture with one colour, but I found that too stressful because I didn't feel like I was getting any of the image done. It didn't come together very quickly. So then the last video I started from the top corner and worked my way down, and I actually quite liked that better because I could see the image coming to life as I was doing it. It does take a lot, ooh, bumping the camera and the screen and everything. It does take a lot of time, Linda. I'm going to need my glasses for this one. I've just turned it upside down because I want to start in this corner. Alright, let's get rid of these brushes. Let's prepare our paint. Look at them all! Holy moly! Going to turn them all up the right way so I can see them all. This level of detail reminds me of diamond painting, because you have, when you get a diamond painting kit, there are so many different colors. You know, you sort out all your diamonds first and get them all into little containers, and this is kind of what it reminds me of, this tiny detail. Anyway, I was lucky enough to be able to leave my last one out on an easel while I was working. I had a camera and everything set up, so that was good, but not everybody has that luxury, so it can be hard to get it all set up and keep it set up too. I won't be able to do with this one, but because it's on a frame, I can kind of move it around and just pack up all the paints as I go. So let's have a look. Maybe I'll just start like in this general area and work my way down the corner here. Do, 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 do. 32 paints. Oh, that seems like a lot. I'm definitely sure there's 34. I think there's only 34 paints in here, so 34 colours. From what I can see. I'm just going to leave the ones I've already prepared up the top there. But, oh, that one hasn't even got on the lid. I like that. About 6 drops of paint in there, of water in there. Oh, this one's a little bit dry. Lucky I did put some water in there. I think the only thing that I've found with all paint by numbers that I've got, it seems like the colour black always runs out, and I'm not sure if it's because the black's a thicker paint or what, but the last few I've done, the black's run out. I'm going to put a little bit more in that because it was already a little bit dry. You don't want to make it too thin, or it will you'll need more layers, but you want to be able to paint with it. Like that was really thick, I wouldn't have been able to paint with that. Give it a good stir around. It kind of goes a little bit frothy too once you add water in, but once you mix it around a little bit, it disappears. Okay, I think that was around 8 drops in total then, maybe 10. But it's looking a lot thinner now and easier to use, just stirring it in. It's kind of like, it reminds me of banner paint. I don't know, you guys might not know, but when a sign writer does a banner, the acrylic, it's like fast drying acrylic or banner paint. It lasts forever. And basically you put it down and it's there. The only way to get rid of it is to paint over it. And it goes like plastic. So it dries like a plastic over the banner material. So it doesn't peel off, it almost adheres to the banner material. And that's kind of what this is like. Now I've thought to myself that was 9. And I think that's right. Where's the 6? That's the only thing with these. You know, how am I supposed to know? Let me have a look. Alright, it's like this blue is, so this up here is upside down, so of course I can't read it. I'm going to say that the purpley colour in the top right corner, I'm guessing here. Let me turn this around. Okay, I'm going to say this is 6. Number 6. And this is going to be number 9. I hope. I hope. The way you open the container. 9. 6. Cool. Just making sure. I'm going to start with 6. Now my canvas is upside down, so I'm going to make sure that I get the right numbers here. And I think I'm going to have to start tiny because I don't think I'm going to be able to do much else. Alright, so I'll go start over here somewhere. Oh my god, this is already too hard. I'm like, alright, now I'm here, I'm ready to start. Should I go? I'm freaking out now. Hi Michelle, welcome. Hi May May. Welcome, welcome. Hi Rochelle. Hi Jacqueline. Hi Kathy. Having a bit of a freak out here. Don't know where to start. Kind of thought I'd start up in here somewhere. So let's just go. As I said, I don't think we're going to need to do more layers because the areas are so tiny. Maybe in the larger areas. Oh my goodness. I can just see some of these numbers, and some of them I can't even see. I'm going to need to go get my magnifying glass out to see them. I always like to put a nice thick layer on. So this colour is actually quite a large area. That's kind of why I thought I'd start with it. Get some of those larger parts in. And as I said, I like to start with the lighter colours and pull the darker around. Oh my gosh, there's so many little divots and crevices. Oh lordy lordy. I've started. Alright. I didn't want to zoom in until I'd started. Okay, I can zoom in now. It's a little blurry because I'm still getting the camera settings right. Pretty sure that's the best way I can. Oh gosh, it's terrible. Alright, hang on. I'll move the camera down. Ooh. Okay, close your eyes for a minute, peoples. Oh, I fixed this camera up. Alright, let's see if that works well. I think it's closer. Oh, I'm struggling with this one. Doesn't want to give it to me. Alright, let's have a look at that one. How's that? You can just see some of the numbers. And they're upside down. So, I'm not doing 9s now, I'm doing 6s. Because, you know. Oh my. I've got that song in my head now. All of this is all connected. So there was one number. And it took me all the way around and up here. Into these little tiny crevices here. Can you see that alright? Is it clear enough? Oh. Yeah, that's good. You can sort of see some of the numbers. But that's what it's like for my eyes anyway. You're seeing what I see right now. That's how it looks to me. But how pretty is it going to look when it's done? I mean, you know, the one that I'm doing, the Thomas Kincaid one from the Disney colouring book, the one that I was painting, that one was the same. It was tiny, tiny little details. It's going to take me forever to finish that one. I'm not even halfway through it, I don't think. But that's not a paint by numbers, that's paint my own numbers. Okay. This is kind of coming down and around here. Just marking it in so I can tell that's where I'm going. And it kind of just stopped there, but I don't know what that colour is there. Doesn't have a number in it. Oh, this is going to be fun. Glutton for punishment, I tell you. I might have to make it up as I go. I mean, who's going to know other than me? Oh, that was a bit messy. Okay, I think I've got all of that area now. Wait, it went up here. It looks like a number 4 or something there. I definitely need a magnifying glass here. I do have one for my diamond painting, so I can go grab it in a minute, because I think I'm going to have trouble figuring out areas. So paint by numbers are designed to be looked at further away, not close up to. So at the start you might be looking at it going, what am I doing? And then as you step back away from it, you can see what's happening. It's like those dot pictures. When you look at it really close up, it looks like nothing until you pull it away and you can see all the little dots make up an image. Well, it's kind of like this. Anxiety. Hi, Tiffany. It does a little bit. Anxiety. Anxiety. How can you even see the numbers? Deb, I can see them just. I've got my glasses on and I'm still struggling though. I'm going to go get my little magnifying glass. As I said though, this is extreme. They're not all going to look like this. All of the other ones I've done have not been like this at all. Good thing is there's tiny little details, but if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter, because you can always fix it later. You can always go back over things. But that colour extended all the way down here. It's the top, I'm doing the top right hand corner of it, so up right up the very top there, where there's all that purple, pinks, and what's that other colour there, like peach colour, because I like these colours, so I thought I'd start up here. Alright. Let's find another 6. Tiny. At the moment I'm using the number 30 brush, and it's actually coping quite well. I can put a fair bit of paint on the very tip of it and get a really nice fine line with it, so that's good. Good to know. Now if your brush gets a little bit cloggy, because remember the paint dries fairly quickly, so you'll find that your brush will get clogged up and messy pretty quickly. There's like a little spot in there. Now, I don't think it has a number, but you know, we'll leave the spot there, shall we? Looks pretty good to me. So make sure you've got water handy to be able to clean your brush, and also I've got my paper towel there as well to make sure I dry it off again to start again. That would be Nani wanting to go outside. She's a very bossy little puppy now. Do you know that? I'm going to rinse my brush so I can get a nice point again. 3D puzzles. Ugh. Give me a sec. I'm just going to grab my, yeah, give me a sec. I'm going to grab my magnifier. Well, I couldn't find it. So I'm in trouble. I found this thing. That will help me, but it may not help you. But you can kind of see. It's pretty cool. It did make it bigger for us to see. Look, I think that's a number 5 there. You can just barely see it there, but you can make it bigger. I don't know where my other one went. It's got a light on it and everything. Let me check a few other places. Oh, here we go. Didn't think to check here first. Do you guys do that? Hang on, it's dirty. Give it a clean. See, I have this one with a light on it. Oh. Look at that. I still can't even tell what that number is. 8 maybe? Or is that just a squiggle? Wee-hoo. Anyway, that's got a light on it as well. This has got a stand. It's kind of cool. You stand it up. Ah, punching things. I like it. You can see? I can see. Barely. Oh, found another 6 down here. Nine, 9, 9, 6. I think I'm gonna go a smaller brush. Let's try one of my what do they call them? Nail art brushes that I got here. I'm gonna go with the 3 on this one. It's tiny, this brush. Look how tiny that is. It's nice and thin. Hope I'm not making anyone too dizzy there. Well, this is giving the new camera a bit of a workout, isn't it? You kind of want to make sure that you cover over the black lines too. You don't want a whole heap of black lines through the image. You want to try and butt the colours up together. Oops, a bit too much on my brush then. But you're definitely not going to need for this, whoops. Tiny little, oh, it comes all the way up here. So I'm just going to make sure I mark all of that. So I'm just going to pop that in there so I know, because it also went back this way again a bit as well. I want to make sure I get the whole area. It comes all the way up here. May. I know it's not so, because I think it's because it's not actually like, I mean, for me it'd be like, well, if it was my own painting, I guess I'd want to get it finished, but you know, it's not your own. You are going to finish it and you did paint it, but especially when you put so much time into it. Well, that's me personally. Some of these are really pretty though, and I would actually put them on my wall if they come out alright. I don't have any paintings on my wall still. We've been here 9 years. When we moved in, the walls were still nice and brand new, and I didn't want to put anything up to save the walls. So I've just got photo frames and things like that sitting around on my bookshelves and things like that. Done that bit. And while I'm up here, there's another bit here. My brush is getting a little clogged up again, so I'm just going to wash it and move on so we don't get too much build up. Now the canvas kind of rolls around the frame here, so I'm just going to make sure that I go all the way around so that when it's hanging on the wall, kind of fades out to the sides more. All right, another 6 please, baby. Is it a 6 or a 5? Oh goodness me, let's turn the light on. It is on, damn it. I don't know, but that's a 6. This is actually a really pretty color, this one. Of course, that's why I picked it first. Goodness me. Okay, this bit here is a 6, and I think it comes all the way around, down and around here. This is all 6, all in here. Gosh, that's a big bit. Let's do it. All the way down here. Now, because it's so tiny, by the time I finish these up, the rest of it's going to be dry, so it won't matter if I come back in over the top of that. If it's not quite dry, it will just kind of peel off onto your hand. Okay, coming around now. This is all number 6. See, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, there's no numbers in that section. But now that I'm starting to fill out the colour, I can see why there was no numbers in those sections, because the numbers sort of spread across. It goes all the way out here. You just got to keep track of where it ends, I guess. Linda. Well, once you finish these tiny little bits, if you see any that need to be gone over, you could just come over with that and redo before you move on, I guess. But the more colour you fill out, the more you'll get lost with that. So try to do a nice thick layer as you go. Save disappointment. Okay, so this was all 6 here. And this is where I might have got lost if I hadn't have marked it. It comes all the way out and around. All the way down around here. I'm just scratching it in. Up and around here. Up here. Look at it! This is a really huge bit. All the way up here. And down over here. It's a big bit. I'm actually going to move to that other brush again. I always try to keep my brush wet too before I put paint on it, just to keep that point as well. Oh, Nani. Might want to let her in for a minute. She's getting upset because Mummy's in here. She can come in for a second. She's like, I want to see my mama. Happy? Hello. How are you doing? Yeah. Nanny. 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 She thinks someone's here. Nanny. Come on. Come on. Up. Come up and say hello. No. Coming up. Come up and say hello. Let's see if we can get the camera. You'll be upside down, but no, she's not going to let me. Come on. Nanny. No, she's not going to let me. She's going back out. Hang on, wait. Nanny. Hi. Sitting over my couch. Go back that way a little bit. Oh, hello. Bye-bye. Go on. Right back. Now she doesn't want to leave. Now she's just going to sit and watch. Alicia's trying to coax her out with everything she can. That's funny. She's so big now. Gets into mischief all the time. Cuteness overload. She's a rat bag. Cheeky brat. So much cuteness though. She loves cuddles. Loves chewing things. She lost a couple of teeth this weekend actually. Cameron managed to keep the little fang tooth that came out, the bottom one. She's lost quite a few now. Just waiting for them to come out. She's still sitting there. She doesn't want to leave. No, she's still sitting on the couch, waiting. Very cute. Well, I wasn't expecting such a large area there. But, there you go. Down here. Kind of goes through those two bits. That's kind of good. That was all joined, because that means I've covered over a fair bit of area. Just making sure that those wet parts there are still covering over everything, that I have no gaps. Just making it neat to start with, I guess. Oh, I got a bit of dry paint there. Just got to pick it up with my brush. No, let's go with the toothpick. Got it. What'd I do? Yes, we were just saying that they're not all like this. This was just basically a little bit of a trial. A little bit of a trial, because he wasn't happy with the basic 24 colours, so we thought we'd try the 34 colours, sorry, we worked it out. But it is pretty extreme. They're not all like this, okay? The picture's detailed, so you're going to have more colour in a more detailed picture. Alright. Whoop whoop. Now, over here, does this come over here as well? I think it might. gonna now. Too bad, so sad. You know what? I don't know. Now I've just done that. It'll do. It's done now. Because that looks like a number 1 there. Who knows? Could be a number 1 there. Oh, that's number 18. Oh, now I'm stuffing it up. Let's just stop right there. Stop right there. Thank you very much. Oh guys, it's Remembrance Day here. Hi Isabel. Hi guys, it's come in and I've missed. I'm so busy looking at this tiny little picture. It's tiny, and I think I just stuffed up this one down here. I think that might have been a different colour, but that's alright. We've just done it. It's done now. I bet we can't tell. Alright. Another 6. Okay, this 6 comes down here. Down and around here. And down here. And then stops. Okay, and then it comes up here. And around here. It's like a little butterfly shape there. And over here. Up here. Okay. Marked it out. Let's do it. I'll start down the bottom here, work my way back. It's a bit of a maze, isn't it? You've got to go follow the blank space around. A little bit of a puzzle as well. Tell you what though, talk about pain in the neck. Like literally. Should have popped it up on an easel and had the camera on the easel. I had people ask me, does it teach you to paint? Well, not really. I mean, it teaches you to handle the paint, but it's not really teaching you how to paint. I mean, at the end, I guess you can say you've painted it, because technically you have. No, need a smaller brush again. Oh, I'd love to visit May too. Puts a smile on my face with her cheeky humour. Oop, I just scooped up the paint then. I kind of scooped it. Just going around all those little tiny details there. So what do you guys think of the steampunk event? Did you all enjoy it? Would you like to do something like that again? What's the verdict? Kind of comes out here as well. I just noticed a little bit there. So number 2. Stop. All right. Oh yeah, that'd be good. It's beautiful here in Australia. Don't come. Which time of the year? What do you like, hot weather or cold weather? Melbourne is always raining no matter what weather. You can go through all 4 seasons in one day here in Melbourne. It's ridiculous. It can be beautiful and sunny and hot in the morning and then freezing cold by the afternoon. We have unpredictable weather here. Queensland, on the other hand, they're pretty much warm most year round. They do sometimes have a fair bit of rain too, but I think Melbourne is pretty crappy for rain. WA has a bit of a drought crisis going on. Not a great place to go if you're wanting lots of water and rich fields. It's pretty dry over that side. It's actually quite nice in Perth. But yeah, here in Victoria, just expect anything. Alright. Lights, camera, action, darling. 6. You want perfect weather? We don't have perfect weather here. Maybe once in a blue moon we might get a really nice day. Like 24 degrees is nice for me. It's a nice day. Go out in the sun and yeah. That's Celsius, by the way. Alright. We've done a fair bit. I've done a fair bit. I think I might need to swap to another colour at some stage. See, there's no colour in that little box there. And that little box there is definitely not connected to anything. Who knows what colour that's supposed to be, hey? Alright. Let's move to a different colour. I've already prepared a number 3, but it's really dark, so I don't want to go with that one yet. Let's have a look at this. What's number 17? That's a darker purple colour. What else have we got there? 9 is dark colour too. Where did 9 go? I lost number 9. There it is. Let's have a look. What colour is number 8? Dark green. Number 5. There's a lot of number 5. That's a dark blue. They're all dark colours. What's that really pretty colour there? 26. I'm sure I saw some really... Because up in the top corner there... I'm just opening up my thing here a bit. See there? That's like really light coloured in the top corner. So, which bit's that? I have the hiccups. It says number 2. Oh, it's a weird colour. It's a weird colour. That's alright. We'll do number 2. Guys, like here, this is number 2. Alright, let's do number 2. Alright, let's move to the picture. Back down here, because we're doing the top corner there, so. Alright, I got number 2. I'm going to prepare it. I need a little spatula for this one. It's got stuff on the lid. Got some little plastic ones in here. Just like little palette knives. And I'm just going to scoop off the... What was that noise? Scoop off my knife. It's not a knife, this is a knife. Denmark. Ooh, Linda. I could only fit about 6 drops in that one. I've changed colour. There you go, Rain. We're going to use some pink. Do you know, I do that with diamond painting too. I'll do a little square at a time so that I can have different colour beads. I don't have to have the whole, you know, the same colour all at once. Just stirring it through. This one was ultra full. Like ultra full. Okay, coming down here to this little corner of the world. Too wet. So this is number 2. It's kind of like light peeking through the tree or something there, I think it's meant to be. Oops, I blobbed that on a little bit too much. Make sure I just spread it out a little bit. Just covered over the number 17 there. I should probably just wipe that off a little bit. 17 is quite dark, so I'll be able to go over any of the areas I went out the lines on, and I think that's why I like starting with the lighter colours, because then if I do go over the lines a little bit with those lighter colours, I can just cover them up with the darker colours and it covers easily. Just find it a little harder to cover the light over dark. Okay, there's a little bit there, and there must be other little bits across here, so I just need to find them. Hang on, wait. Is that on? Oh, it is on. Oh, look, there's one right there. What am I doing? Turn that off. So exciting, I found one right there. Sorry, little bit excited there. That brush is too big. Swapping back to the tiny brush. These are my nail art ones. I actually did nail technology. Certificate 3, I think it is, in nail technology. I didn't want to do beauty therapy because I'm not good with my hands getting sore, so I just thought, oh, I'll just do some nails because I'm like creative and I like doing stuff like that. It's a bit of fun. And went on to do certificate 4 in training and assessment and taught the business side of that like once. I hope that is what I've just done is the right. I'm sure it was a number 2. I've already covered over the number, so it's just like all of a sudden I went, hang on, was that right? And then I did that for not very long. Actually, the college that I was working at closed down, so I ended up just giving up. I went, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Nail technology is really hard work. Linda and I, our good friend, does it in Queensland. Tina Norton, she's very good at it. Okay. Bring on more number 2s. Well, there's another one just up here on the edge. It's a lot of hard work, and it's hard to compete with the Asian shops who do them cheap and extremely quick, and sometimes I'll have 2 girls working on you at once and it's done. It's really hard for someone like myself to compete with that because it takes more time, we use quality product, we're only doing it ourselves, the costs just don't work well. Okay, I think I'm done with 2 for now. Let's move on. This number 1 colour, there's a few ones here, so I'm just going to go with 1. Oh, there's a 17 as well, but that's dark. We'll go with 1. All right. My daughter said that she would like to do nail art. I was like, well, maybe do beauty therapy in its totality, because just doing nails, it's not competitive. It's you know, hard work and you don't get a lot out of it. But beauty therapy, makeup artistry, things like that, you're getting a little bit more. You've got a little bit of other things there to get you going. Couldn't get any out, and it was just bubbles coming out of my thing. I've never been outside of Australia. Well, actually, technically, I did go into international waters because I went on a cruise from Queensland, but the cruise was just Queensland to Queensland, so it went out into international waters where we could gamble, and then it came back. So technically I wasn't really that far from Australia. That's the furthest I've been from Australia. Lots of bubbles in this one. Going with number 1. There's quite a few ones. This colour seems to be a little less opaque, so I'm just going to put on an extra dab over the number 1 so it covers it quite clearly. Quite clearly covers it. Covers it quite, I don't know, what's the word, peoples? I don't know. I'll just blah 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 here. This says number 1 here. I hope I'm getting this right, guys. And that says number 5 in there, and I just went over the top of it, so I don't know how I'm going to remember. Maybe I'll just write it in. Can I do that like with a really, really, really tiny, like seriously tiny? Here we go. Let's just write. Where did I cover it? Oh, here. 5. It's darker than everything else, but you know, it's a blue that's got to go over it, so I don't want to forget. Any more number 1s? No, that'll do for now. I don't want to spend the whole day looking for them. Alright, let's do number 5 because I don't want to forget that little 5 thing there. Yeah, it won't matter. You're right. Oh, my thing keeps getting bubbles in it. My little squidgy tool thing that I'm using to grab the water with. Dark colour. This one's choppy. This one's choppy. Doesn't want to mix well. There's none on the lid of this one either. I'm going to add a little bit more into that because it's still quite thick. You don't want to go too thin that you can see through it, but you don't want it too thick. Like, how am I going to pick that up on the brush? It's pretty thick. Just thin it down a little bit. Just makes your life easier, trust me. It won't dry as quick, and you'll get better layerage this way. Oh, so far I've used 1 toothpick. 2, I've just done dark that end and light that end. So there's no transfer. Alright, I'm going to use a tiny, tiny brush for that little section that I just marked. Come on. Nope, that did not work. Why? think my brush might have been too wet. Try that again. That's better. Done. Okay, now that's weird because that said 5 and now this is a 5 as well. Why didn't it just say 5? Why didn't it? Anyway, too bad, so sad. It's that colour now. I'm going to go extreme small, and I'm going to go the 5-0. I just wanted to get a nice sharp line there. So I ordered a diary, a Happy Planet diary, last week, and I was just on the website where I ordered it from, and it's got tracking and things like that, and it still says awaiting fulfillment. Do you know how frustrating that is? It's been like 5 days. Come on. Can you just mark it as sent already so I can have it? Are you guys like that? Are you impatient like that? I'm a shocker. I'm seriously shocking. Like, you know, when you order something, you want it the next day. You don't want to have to wait 5 weeks. I've waited 5 days, but you know, feels like 5 weeks, okay? I spent a bit of money too because I brought a couple of packs with it, and spent about 150. Got a diary and some different bits and pieces to use in it. Have a bit of fun doing another craft activity on a Monday, I think. It says 3 to 5 days. Yes, me too. It's exactly right. I'm still waiting for the silly putty from Amazon to get here. Gosh, Amazon never takes this long. It's so frustrating. This is like a midnight blue. It's actually quite a pretty colour. Not that we can really see it that well because it's because it's you know, so tiny, teeny tiny. You know, I got down the rabbit hole again with Instagram this time. First of all, I was watching
sticky. I was watching this girl make teeny tiny things with polymer clay, like tiny miniature stuff, and I love that kind of thing. And then, oh my gosh, then I got stuck on cakes. Just amazes me what people can do with cakes. Just amazing. I like to do that sometimes. I go to the search function in Instagram and I just peruse through what's in that section before you actually type in what you're searching for. I'll just flick down and get caught on something. Something that's interesting. Follow some new people, and some guy with stop motion photography. He did this thing with Will Smith. That was really cool. This is my life, watching Instagram clips. Kind of getting off here. I'm way down the bottom here and you can't see me. Sorry. Sorry. I found another number 2. And another number 2. There's a few number 2s over here. Let's go back up here. Are you pointing more out to me because I can't see any? Point me in the right direction. Oh, no worries, Sonia. Oh, some of the cakes are amazing. Like, just they look absolutely stunning, but some of them look really yummy too. Like, you know, like, I want to eat that cake. Yeah, I finished watching cakes and I was like, now I want to go make cake. It's I've got an 18th and a 15th birthday coming up next month, or actually this month, at the end of this month. 2 weeks away. I'm saying that and it's like 2 weeks away. So yeah, I was thinking about making a cake for them, but I don't know. I never have time. Usually I end up baking it and Cam ends up decorating it. It's like a joint effort. Oh, I know. I was watching Jane Davenport. She was saying that it's like that where she is too. The smoke's horrible. Seems just like it becomes a part of our, I don't know, life now. Bushfires. They're always so close. I did happen to work for one of the most awesome insurance companies though here in Australia when it comes to the bushfire relief and helping people out. I considered helping out too with that, being on the team that went off and helped out, but my kids were still, well, Ethan was still in primary school, so it was a little bit hard for me to just say, yep, I can help out last minute. When I had him to look after. Now I could probably do something like that. We have a friend who does he's got a coffee cart and he each year when there's been bushfires, because there always is. Goes down with his coffee cart and gives coffee to the firemen down there helping out. I might do that maybe this year. Let's just pray that there's none as devastating as we've had. And I hope you guys are safe there too. We've had friends and family that have lost everything in bushfires. And I know that Heather, you're up in Ballarat, which is high risk there too. Keep your property safe, keep things tidy. So stay safe, peoples, during summer. Actually, I'm just gonna change to a smaller brush for that area. And I've already got a bit of a pull on this one. It must mean there's a bit of paint stuck up in the heel of the brush. So I'll have to give it a good rinse. Going back to tiny. Yeah, I noticed on one of the websites, Catherine, I was looking at, they were collecting baby stuff for people with babies and little babies, asking people to donate. There's some real devastation. Alright. Should we swap to another colour? Let's swap to another colour. I'm feeling like swapping. Oh wait, I can't swap yet. Wait, there's a little 5 here. Let me just do that one. Down here there's a number 5, just off the edge here. Trying to keep the dark edges nice and neat because they're the hardest to fix. They are. This colour's a little patchy. I think I'm having trouble getting it to cover, so I'm just doing a bit of a clumpy sort of, trying to keep it neat and even, but adding a little bit of extra paint on there to get it to cover first time. That one looks a little bit like Italy. A little boot. It's hard to see, it's off the camera, but it looks like a little boot. A boot. Well, so far it's looking like nothing. But you know what? It's going well. No, this is by Crafties. I talked a little bit about the company at the start, but I've been working with them for about 2 years now. And this was kind of a tester one. It wasn't, it's not, they don't all look like this. So far, we've done a corner. Bits of a corner. Of course, it's not really a whole corner, but no. It's fabulous. Let's go with, I haven't got much time, but let's go with number 18. Oh no, 17, 18. Let's do 18. Because I have it in my hand. My hot little hand. It's actually normally a cold hand. It's not really that little. But I had it. I have the link to this particular one, which is by Ben, I can't remember his last name. It is in the description as well. Well, we were just saying, if you have a look at this zoomed out, it's pretty full on. Pretty full on. Alright, add a little bit of water in this new one. Give it a stir around with my stick. So I only do this when I first open them, not every single time. It's only the first time you need to do it. Otherwise, if you did it every single time, you'd end up with like extremely watery paint. Come on. Here he goes. Give it a really good stir so you get all of that paint mixed through. It almost looks like silly putty. Oh man, my chair. Everything's falling apart, peoples. Everything's falling apart. What color am I doing again? Tell me. 18. Hi, Bev. Welcome to this crazy paint by numbers. And the crazier person doing it. I swear I saw a few 18s, and now I just look at it and go, duh, where are you? I'm doing it. Where are you? No, I can't see. Let's turn on the light. Okay, Abby. Sounds good. Just need to see here. Oh, here we go. Here's an 18 right here. Next to a very phallic looking shape there. Alright, what else have we got? And I'm pretty sure that is a number 18 there. I can't tell. Let's just go with this one. Brush is a bit big. Back to the number 3. Screwed in there. So hopefully by next Monday I'll have my happy what is it? Happy planner thing, and we can have a look through that. That would be a bit of fun. I'm not actually streaming this Friday. I may stream maybe on Saturday. I'm not sure. That could be an 18 there though. I think it is. I may be able to stream on Saturday at some stage, but not late at night. It'll be in the afternoon sometime. That's date night. We haven't decided on a movie yet. We're still, you know what'll happen? We'll end up flipping a coin because we can never decide. That's what Harvey Dent would do. Anyhow. Going with Joker there, maybe. Another one down here. Could almost paint holding this magnifying glass. That's how tiny things are. There's an 18 here, down the bottom here. Wait, where did it go? I lost it. I lost it. Yeah. Wait. This one. It's definitely an 18. I think I need to mark it when I see it under here because they disappear when I pull it away. I lose them. Thanks, Helen. Oh no, I just smudged something. I think down here. You have a good night too. Well, I am almost done for the day. We didn't really get much done, did we? But it really is a very extreme image. And I just thought, why not? Let's have a bit of fun, have a chat about crafties, and talk about my coming Paint by Numbers Part 2 video. Hopefully not long. I think I've done most of the editing now. I've just got a lot of voice recording to do for it. Did a bit of a website tour and a couple of other things for it. So, and answering everybody's questions. I couldn't believe how many people commented on that video either. It's amazing. I'm still getting comments on it now. 19, 18. There's an 18. This is a nice colour too. I like this purple. It's like a periwinkle blue. Oh, no, they did not. I brought them, and I do have links for those, but those links are in the description. But wait, there's more. But I should be able to just give me a second. Oh, yeah, I can. Here we go. I got two different types. I use the black ones more than I use the brown ones. The black one is the ones that are these ones. I use these more than I use these ones because these are a lot bigger. But they're nail art brushes. There's the links for them. Check them out. Because where was I? Okay, I'm lost. Did I stop somewhere? Did I start a section? I don't know. I'm lost now. The light's a little bit bung in this thing. Come on, give me light. And it comes in the pack that I've just posted. It comes in quite a few different sizes, but you don't want to go for something too fine either. You want the bristles to be kind of a little bit tougher, otherwise they bend up. That's why nail art brushes are good, because they're made for using paint, like varnish, nail polish paint. So you want something like that. That's going to give you a nice firm brush, easy to get details in. I really like these colours so far. Make sure you give your brushes a really good clean after you've used them, because you don't want paint to get dried up in the heel of the brush, because it will wreck them and they'll get these little, kind of like this one here's got it already. Show you. If you have a look here, it's hard to see it, but there is a hair actually. You might be able to see it better now with paint on it. There's a couple of hairs that aren't sitting right on the edges, and they're kind of poking out a little bit. Can you see them? Stray hairs. If you get paint too low down in here, they can wreck. And I find with acrylic paint it tends to be like that, because acrylic paint's quite harsh. You can try to save them. Boiling water, you just hold the brush in the boiling water, just sort of, you know, hang it in there for a bit and then dry it upside down, and you should be able to get some of those little stray ones to sort of pull back in a bit, but not always. Sometimes they're just a pain and you have to trim them off, but I don't suggest doing that because it makes your brush really uneven. Alright. I think I'm done for now. You want to see how much we've done? Nothing. Turn my light off. Took me 2 hours to do that. Well, maybe an hour and a bit. Gosh, can't even get it on camera. I'm zoomed right out here. It's because we... Hang on. Wait. Hang on. I'll move the... Remember we moved the camera down? Well, you know, I'll move it back up again and that will help because I forgot we did that. You may not have, but I did. Here we go. Let's move this out of the way. That's how much I've done. It's great. There you go. It's in. So I've done like this very top left-hand corner. So far, that's all I've got done. It is getting there gradually. Maybe. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me blabber on about whatever. These are good and they're fairly cheap. So if you do stuff them up, you can just go and buy some more, which is good. You can get like nail art brushes that have special handles and are easier to hold and all that kind of thing. Maybe they'd be better quality and they wouldn't wreck as much, but when you're using acrylic paint, why bother getting expensive brushes? Just get some cheap ones. Much better. I just noticed too that this number 5 is really uneven and I'm going to go back in and redo that dark colour. It didn't work very well, did it, down in that corner? It's, I know, hard to see there, hang on. You can see there's a couple of light patches in it. There's a couple here. So I'm just going to do number 5, another layer of it, to cover over it. And Kenny, I'd love to do it again. Yeah, on Mondays I'm going to be doing some more crafty stuff, so, because I like craft and I like to do a bit of stuff for myself, so, and I want to do over the Christmas time, I still want to stream, so I might make my Christmas place cards and things like that next month. I think that will be a bit of fun. Maybe it's not your thing, but we'll still be doing colouring on Fridays. I don't know what colouring we'll be doing on Friday, but something. Been meaning to do this ballerina image, actually, for my daughter. There's been all these other events going on. It's been hard. There we go. I've just covered over that with another layer, just to smooth it out a little bit because it was a little bit rough looking. I've just got to make sure I keep the ones I've already mixed separate so I can go through. So it's probably a better idea for you to go through and add your little bit of water and stir them through before you start, because then you don't have to keep track of what you've already done and what you haven't done as well. Aw, thanks, Linda. Thanks, Joey. I doubt it. I doubt I'd be able to get it done by Christmas. If it took me to do this one, it took me 24 hours in total over, like, well, roughly. We'll say it took me a little bit longer because I had to prepare all the paints and all that sort of stuff, so that wouldn't have been included in that. Pure paint time. I don't know about this one. This one will take me a little bit longer. A wee bit longer. It actually doesn't look too bad now. It's starting to, you can already start to see what it is. It's trees. It is. Graceland, it was my camera. Oh, hang on a sec. There's some creepy black car at the front of my house. Anyway, it was my camera. The camera is completely dead now. This is my other camera that broke. Very upset. But this is a different one. This is one I brought about 6 months ago that I'm using now. And I brought the one that I'm using now specifically to do extra little projects like the paint by numbers and keep my camera up so I didn't have to keep moving it all the time. But now I've only got one, so I won't be able to do that. You want to see it finished? Well, I will have to do another few videos then, won't I? I'll do some in between. It won't just be on camera, but yeah, I'll have to finish it. Posty. Posty. Alright, well thank you very much guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. Check out the website where I got them from in the description of the video as well. And I popped the brushes links in there as well for you. I popped a link directly to this one there and also just to the website. But if you're looking for the ones from the specific artists, like this one, and like the dragon one that I just quickly showed you before, but I didn't show you the full image of that one, anything like that, then check out underneath the artist ones. They are a little bit more expensive than the stock art, but to get something completely different and beautiful, do you want to see the website? Should I put it up before I run away? Alright, let's have a look. Just quickly. So this one was the Full Kit Pro. This one here. Can we see that there? Which came, this one. Which came with everything, framed brushes and everything. There is a discount, look up here. Buy two, get one free. I don't know what it's for. I don't know if it's for these artist ones. But you can look by artist now. So these are the different artists. This is the guy who did the trees. I think one of these people down here did the skull. Might have been this one. Let's have a look at his stuff. There you go. That one there is the dragon one that I just showed you before. This is Australian dollars too. Obviously, if you're in America, it's going to be a lot cheaper than that. But that's the dragon one that I was just showing with the blending on that. It's kind of cool. I like the pumpkins. That's new, actually. Oh, and that. They add new stuff on all the time. These are from different artists. And the artists actually get money for what we buy. So it's not like he's just commissioned the artwork and brought the artwork off them. They actually get a commission from each image that's sold. So they're continually getting paid for the sales of their work. So beautiful images, loads of fun. And they're not all quite like this one, okay? This was just a tester. He sent it because he wanted to see what it would look like with the 34 colors. You know what? Now I'm actually looking at it, I can see why there's that many colors in it, and it actually makes sense to me to do that.
And it's actually not quite as bad as I thought to start with. So, you know, I love the dragons too. I've got that one sitting here. It's not quite as detailed, I don't think. It's fairly basic. But I think with this one, making sure it's not wet, I think with this one, I did a little bit of blending here on the wing. I think the size and the basicness of it, I think you could do a bit with this one. I think you could get some really nice blends through it, and it won't look actually as much like a paint by number because it's not very detailed. The bottom section is, of course, but I do think that you could get something really pretty out of this. My daughter did it. Came up pretty cool. Did. Yeah, there's no point blending in this one. This is going to take far too long. Alright, peoples, I have to go. It's lunchtime here. Have lunch with my friend. And I'll be back next, maybe Saturday, or if not Saturday, it'll be definitely Monday again. So next week, same time. Bye, guys. Thank you. Have a great day. If you have any questions, please send me a message and I can answer them because I pretty much know what you need to know probably. So I've done so many of them and I've been working with them, as I said, for 2 years now, so pretty cool. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye, guys.